Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer and head coach from Live, Love, Give. And today's message is all about stop selling your soul on a market that you don't even value. And this is just the thought that sort of popped into my mind today when I was thinking, what am I going to talk to you guys about today? And it's something that has been totally on top of my mind. I was having a beautiful conversation with a beautiful friend of mine yesterday over dinner, and we were really talking into authenticity, and she was creating a great space for me to sort of talk into the growth that I've been on since we last sort of really saw each other. And it just got me thinking about how much we are all at times selling ourselves out, and we don't even really realize that we're in a market that we actually don't even value. And ultimately we end up selling ourselves out when we're relying on other people to determine our worth, our identity, and ultimately our destiny, because we haven't taken the time to get really clear on who we are, like who we would be really proud to step into. Who is your higher self? Who is that person? What sort of qualities, traits, ways of being, decisions, actions, how does that person show up? And ultimately, defining who that is, who our higher self is as an individual, and also defining and clarifying what we want. Because when we don't know who we are and who our higher self is, who we're, trying our best to tap into more of, and we don't know what we really want without the filter of another, then ultimately we start selling ourselves out in a market that we don't even value. And that might be in relationship. You might have a tendency of falling into relationship because that person validates you, or they make you feel worthy, or they make you feel good, or they make you feel kind of just wanted or needed. And ultimately you're not even picking that market of the relationship. You're just kind of falling into it and selling yourself to whoever comes along. Or maybe it's in the job that you're in. Maybe, you're working really hard, or you're trying to get that promotion, or you're trying to get ahead, but you haven't taken the time to take a step back and say, hey, does this company that I work with, do they even share my values? Am I heading in a direction that is inspiring to me? Do I feel good about myself and the work that I'm doing? Or am I just kind of selling myself out in a market that I haven't even determined the value of? And ultimately, if I took a step back, I'd probably find that I actually don't even value this market. Or maybe, it's just in whatever area of your life. I want you to think about, where is it that you haven't determined who your higher self is, who you would be really proud to be, and you haven't determined what you really want, and ultimately you are just going with the flow, and you're just kind of like falling into selling your soul in a marketplace that you don't even value because you haven't taken the time to do the work on you, to recognize and create a really authentic filter for the decisions that you make, and you aren't in the driver's seat of your own worth, your own identity, and ultimately your own destiny. So I hope this is resonating with you guys. There's a couple more thoughts that I really want to share with you guys on this topic. It is so on top of my mind, and I speak to so many of you beautiful human beings out there who are struggling with this same thing, and you're missing the point. You're missing the point that you haven't even determined the value of the marketplace you're operating in. And ultimately you're selling your soul for crumbs, crumbs of existence, not fulfillment, not truth, not authenticity. And I know this all too well because I've been on that journey myself so many times. And I know that in 5 years from now, I'm going to look back on where I am right now, and I'm going to recognize a bunch of other stuff, but I'm on that journey myself. And I know a bunch of you guys out there are as well. And ultimately, the more and more we tap into that authenticity, the more and more clear we get about who we are, who we're proud to be, and ultimately what we want without the filter of other people or our shoulds that we think we should be like or we should do, but ultimately, it's not really attached to the truth of who we are and what we're really called and inspired to be like, then, that is the journey that I feel that we all must take, because when we do, that is when we experience freedom. And I'm a big believer that life is about getting to a position of true freedom to be all of who you are, freedom to not be thrown off by the opinions and judgments of others, freedom to just do what you are called to do and operate in the realm of authenticity without the fear of loss. And yeah, a bunch of other stuff that I really want to get into, but definitely want to just check in with you guys and see who's joined me, and make sure you're dropping any questions, comments. I want to reach you, I want to engage with you. So definitely do that in the comment section. And Moises, lovely to have you back every day. I appreciate you, my friend. And Lisa, awesome to have you. And Natalie, thanks, Moises. And Lisa and Jerry and MD, awesome to have you. And Lexi, and Jeremy's in the house. I love it. And Ted and Graham, nice to have you. And Kristen and Victoria, and Sean and Pushpa. I wonder what you were saying there, Victoria. Yellow. I got it. You meant hello. Thank you. And Cool Deep, nice to have you. And Jeremy, following our truth leads to freedom. So true. And there's in my experience, there is no other path to freedom other than operating in the realm of your truth. And when you don't know what your truth is, you got to go on that journey to discover it. There is no quick fix to aligning with your authenticity and accessing freedom. So love that, Jeremy. Thank you for sharing. Joji, great topic. Awesome. Grateful that this is resonating with you. And Craig, awesome. Great karma right back at you. And Danielle and Hassani's in the house. I love it. And John, grateful that you're finding this educative. That's great. And Lucy, I love to have you here. Yes, hi Hassani. So great to see you back again. And Misty, I love it. This is resonating. And yes, Ted, you need to hear this. I love it. And Nathan, lovely to have you here. And Aaron, what have you said to me here? I'm, of course, impatient. I set out 2 years ago to radically shift my career. I started my own business. Awesome. It was accelerated way faster than I ever imagined, but not fast enough to finally walk away from my current employment. 2 years of 110-hour work weeks. Wow, is wearing you down. Yes. But yeah, it's the hustle, definitely. But, I'm a big believer that when we get on our own path, like when we are doing what we're called to do, what has unique value to us as an individual, doesn't matter. Like I work so many hours, like, sometimes I go and do other things, and I'm just like, I get to a point where I'm just like, I need to go do some more work, and it's because I love what I do. And so I love, Aaron, that you have been, making that radical shift in your career and starting your own business. And I love it. All in the hustle, definitely. And it's easy to hustle when you're in alignment, and you love to hustle when you're in alignment, because you're actually creating more meaning in your life. And I wish that for every single one of you guys out there. So thank you so much for sharing your journey there, Aaron. Appreciate it so much. And Andre, nice to have you. And Jeannie, I really want to know how to say your name properly. I'm sorry if I always mispronounce it. And Caden, so good to see you. And awesome, Jeremy, great topic. Love that you're loving it there. And Kabsu, nice to have you. And Karan, awesome. And Brett, yes, Jenny, sorry, I have no idea. Like I said, I have to get on a call with you and you can correct me. As Tony Robbins says, don't shoot all over yourself. Yeah, it's one of my absolute favorite quotes by Tony. Always makes me laugh, no matter how many times I've heard it. So true. And Diaz, nice to have you. And Joseph, awesome. And Sergio and Ventura, Great content. Love that you're loving it there, Ventura. Thank you. And Ruby, nice to have you. And Brett, thank you. And Lisa, what have you said? This one is hard. I'm getting in from a 15-hour day and I'm so tired. Sometimes I wonder if the grass is greener. It is harder to leave when I'm good at what I do, but it is hard to know what is really my passion. Yeah, awesome, Lisa. So if you're feeling burnt out and tired and you're not enjoying what you're doing in your life, work is like where we spend the majority of our life. Like you're saying, you just had a 15-hour day. So you gotta have some sleep in there too. So look at the majority of your day is being spent in that workplace. And if you're not feeling great about it, you just got to go on that self-discovery, and it sounds like you're already doing that, Lisa. And, it's really great. I would love to introduce you to personality psychology because this is what I help people with in terms of uncovering what your unique genius is, what puts you in flow. At the end of the day, when we can tap into what our flow is, we're limitless. That is where we actually gain energy by engaging in that particular mental process. And I would love to help you discover what that is. I have personally found this the best framework for self-discovery and personal development because it not only allows you to tap into what your genius is, what your greatest strengths are as an individual, so you can operate in generating more and more energy, but also it taps into your best way for personal growth as an individual instead of just doing this one size fits all in the personality development, the personal development realm. So I'd love to introduce you to that, Lisa. Let me know if you're interested because it's so important. There is no greater journey that we can go on than ultimately, just uncovering what our true passion is, what our calling is, and getting into that flow. So awesome, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Jeremy, loved your quote, "A life lived for others at the expense of our own truth is a life not lived." Yeah, it's something that wow, have I experienced. And sometimes I fall into that pattern and I have to constantly find my way out. And it is something that I'm really passionate about. Jeremy, I love that you love that quote because I see so many of us and it makes me so sad to see that life of obligation that we fall into. And I often see this most with men. And it comes from this beautiful, beautiful heart-centered place where, they just want to do their best. We just want to give. We just want to make those people around us happy. But it comes at the expense of our truth. And then we wind up totally unfulfilled, totally defeated. So it might come from a great place. But ultimately, you're living a life of obligation. And that is no life lived. So I love that you love that, Jeremy. Thank you so much for sharing. And Joseph, thank you for your kind words there. And John, awesome, great. And Kenneth, and thanks, Lisa. Yes, definitely get in contact with me. We'll sort that out. I'll help you with that. And Faisal, nice to have you. And Robert, awesome, guys. Sorry, I just have like a piece of hair in my mouth for a second there. Okay, so guys, there was something else that I really wanted to bring up with you, and I have tapped into this in another live before, but ultimately what it is, and this is based on my own experience, and what has really worked for me tremendously has been actually tapping into the feelings. Okay, so how does it feel on a physiological kind of way, So when we are selling ourselves out, what does that feel like? What happens? For me, I notice it straight away now because I've really attuned into my body. And, I just get this kind of shortness of breath. I start feeling a bit anxious. My chest sort of tightens up a bit when I just notice I'm going into that strained sort of people-pleasing sort of kind of mode. And ultimately, tapping into that feeling, recognizing what that feels like, but also tapping into the feeling of when you step into your truth, when you are operating in authentic in an authentic kind of way, when you are speaking up for what's true to you, despite your perception of the fears that may trigger in the people around you. And that is what is really helping me with my personal growth at the moment. Tapping into that, the body's intelligence, has allowed me to wake up so much quicker to when I'm not being authentic and stepping into authenticity. And when you really tap into that, I was just talking to this beautiful girlfriend of mine last night, and that's what I was expressing to her. I was saying, I physically can't go on with selling myself out anymore because I'm so attuned to it. It's kind of like an instant reaction that I've become so aware of that I just can't go there. And it's such a gift to tap into your body's intelligence so that you don't, go, days, months, years even, living in lack of authenticity, but you actually in the moment tap into, oh, hang on, what I just said then or what I just did then, that's actually not quite right. And I'm going to correct that because I know that an inauthentic path leads to pain, and I know that I want fulfillment in my life, and I know that the best kind of people that I want to create relationship with, they want me to be authentic. So you got to sort of make some of those shifts, but that's really what I wanted to say. And the last thing I wanted to tap into for you guys, which is really in alignment with not selling your soul in a market that you actually don't value, is ultimately, for me, it was coming to the conclusion that, I was having a fear of loss. That's what was getting me sort of selling my soul, not only not being clear on who my higher self was and not being clear on what I really wanted without the filter of others, but also, having a fear of loss. So that was a really big one that I uncovered. I had that fear of loss, like I'm going to lose this connection, I'm going to lose this validation, whatever it is, whatever you find that you're selling your soul for, then, you've got to recognize that the more open to losing you are, the more you open yourself up to winning. So I really want you to get that. The more open you are to losing, the more you open yourself up to winning. So really start tapping into that. Maybe meditate over that. Think about it. But lose that fear around losing, because the sooner you do, the sooner you're open to losing. The sooner you're open to losing the circumstances that are inauthentic, the sooner you're open to losing the people in your life who you have to feel like you have to be somebody else for, then the more you open, the sooner you open yourself up to winning the game of life and actually accessing true fulfillment. So, guys, I really hope this has been helpful for you. Sorry about that. I had a bit of hair in my mouth. It was driving me crazy. I really hope that this has been helpful to you guys. I really hope that it's got you thinking about not selling your soul in a market that you don't even value. Recognize when you're selling yourself out, tap into the body's intelligence, start getting clearer and clearer about who your higher self is, who you would be really proud to operate as, and also, what you really want to create. What's the destiny that you are inspired by? And stop selling yourself out to other people for crumbs, for that validation. And ultimately, it's because you're not valuing yourself. You're letting others determine your worth. You're letting others determine your identity, and you're letting others determine your destiny. So yeah, no more of that. I hope this inspires you to really get some more clarity over how you're operating. And I really hope if you're really brutally honest with yourself and you find that you have been selling your soul in a market that you don't even value, I hope that you have the courage to break free of that. And ultimately, it's been my experience that when we get that clarity over what we're doing, we can't go back. So you will start generating that courage if you just have the courage to be brutally honest with yourself about how you're operating in the world right now. So guys, that's my message, but I want to check in with you guys for any last questions or comments here. Awesome Geet, thank you for joining me. I'm feeling my love every moment. Oh, thank you so much for your kind words there. And Kirsten, love that this is resonating with you. Ellen, awesome to have you. And Jenny, when you live in your heart and you live in your truth, all else is easy. I found by living in your truth, you feel when people are not aligned with you. That is so beautifully said and definitely so true. I really resonate with that. So thank you so much for sharing. And Alf, thank you for joining. And Simon, grateful that you find this a great topic. And Craig, awesome to have you. And yes, Kirsten, I love that you're loving these posts. And Mick, awesome to have you. And Alf, if we consider losing a lesson, sorry, I just tapped on something. If we consider losing a lesson rather than loss, we would thrive in no fear. Definitely, Alf. I always appreciate you sharing your words of wisdom here. So thank you for that. And Josu, nice of you to join. And Alvin and Jeremy, that's the goal of life. Be the best version of myself and not what others think I should be. Brilliant goal for your life, and I love that you've just shared that with all of us here, Jeremy. Appreciate you. And guys, that is my message for you guys today. So I really hope it's got you thinking, it's got you shifting your perspective, it's got you feeling more empowered about how you're going to move forward, break free of the shooting all over yourself, break free of selling yourself out, tap into the body's intelligence, start getting clear on who you are, what you want, and have the courage to go after it. And before I sign off, Jenny's just said something here. Gina, I'm sorry, I really need to clarify your name. And when you lose something, maybe it wasn't meant to be for you, or you needed to learn a lesson or two, learn the lesson, move on to great things. Definitely. I totally agree with that. I really have a strong belief that everything happens for a reason and a purpose that serves you always. And it's when you find the lesson in every single circumstance, every loss, whatever you want to call it, then that is the value, that is the purpose of the circumstance that you've experienced. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. GM, nice of you to join me. It's just about to sign off, so I really hope you catch the recording and you gain some value from today's message. But I am sending so much love, light, blessings, gratitude, enthusiasm, energy, everything coming at all of you beautiful people out there. I appreciate you all so much. I just love getting to engage with you. And if you have any questions or ideas for topics that you'd really like me to discuss with you guys, share a new perspective on, then definitely let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, definitely make sure you book in a 15-minute power session with me. I'd love to connect and meet you personally and see how I can help you break through your current challenges. So much love to you guys, and I will see you all tomorrow.